I seek the leave of the House to amend private members' business item number 2564, standing in my name on today's notice paper, by 1, inserting the Minister for Lands and Property, Minister for Multiculturalism, Minister for Sport and Minister for Jobs and Tourism after the Premier, and 2, omitting in paragraph A meetings or correspondence with, and inserting instead meetings, correspondence or briefings related to.
Is leave granted? There being no objection, the member may proceed.
Thank you. Mr Deputy President, I move private members' business item number 2564, standing in my name on today's notice paper, as by leave amended. Mr Deputy President, it is a very simple motion. We are seeking to find out more information as to whether the government is engaging with lobbyists in a way that does not conform with the standards that are applicable to New South Wales. We know that this is a government that has declined to act on the recommendations of ICAC, the recommendations of Operation Eclipse, which are very specific in their call for greater transparency and accountability when it comes to meeting disclosures between government officials, ministers, lobbyists, and ordinary parliamentarians like myself, which I would be happy to comply with. But what we've heard so far from the Special Minister of State is that this is a priority for them, but it appears to be not so much a priority as to do anything about it as yet, after 2.5 years in government. And it's somewhere on the list. And I don't know if the government has understood the meaning of the word priority, but when something is referred to as such, you would imagine that in fact they would be interested in doing it up front, up first. Instead, we are getting report after report. Michael McGowan in the Sydney Morning Herald just over the weekend released his latest story showing that the Premier did not disclose a meeting with Mr Yemma that occurred just a week before the former Premier sought to lobby his office over 2 major housing developments. And what we've heard from Minister Scully, the Minister for Planning, is that ministers have entire discretion over how they categorise the meetings that they have with stakeholders. And that's right, a meet and greet. I acknowledge the interjection because we have been calling for greater detail and greater transparency since we, unfortunately, became the opposition and had the important job of holding this government to account. Last year in budget estimates, I put to Minister Scully the question, how can Mr Morris Yemma be a lobbyist on Tuesday when he meets with the Minister for Planning, but not on Thursday when he meets with the Minister for Planning? And the answer was that, in fact, Mr Yemma was engaging in general matters, general planning matters, not related to specific clients. Now, I don't think that that passes the pub test. We are in a period of government which you would imagine where the government feels an obligation to be transparent to the taxpayer. And instead, already after just 2.5 years, we are seeing some of the same grubby behaviour and influence that was present in the last Labor government after 12 years, 16 years in the end. It's really concerning. It's very problematic. We need to get to the bottom of it. The reality is that if we are letting ministers decide what they consider lobbyist influence, we are letting down the people of New South Wales. We are not ensuring that their taxpayer funds are going to the right people. We are not ensuring that rezoning in particular areas is happening in the interests of everyday citizens. These are the questions that we need to answer. The information that will be provided, we hope, through this SO52 will shed some more light on the way that the government has decided to engage with lobbyists and their clients. We need to know more. If the government had been more transparent, we wouldn't need to seek this set of papers. We wouldn't need to try to deep dive into the depths of briefings and meeting notes. We would actually be able to trust what was on the record. And I have gone through meeting disclosures from the coalition ministers, and they are very detailed. They are nothing like the kind of broad brush explanations that we get from this government, and that's why this House needs to pass this motion for the people of New South Wales.
That was a doozy.
Well, to disclose or not to disclose, that is the government's Yemma dilemma, and it certainly has not been resolved. The latest in the sorry saga of questions that arise when you have Labor, planning and mates in the same sentence. The government has had to move amendments to try to muddy the waters, to say, look over here, there's nothing to see, we've been in government for just 2.5 years and we're going to compare our record with 12 years of a coalition government. I mean, it's quite extraordinary. Well, the Honourable Chris Rath spoke about hypocrisy, and I have to remind the House of a budget estimates interaction with the Honourable John Graham and the Premier. The Honourable John Graham said, given your comments about corruption and given the concerns raised by my colleagues, do you have concerns about links between Coronation Property and the Alameddine crime gang? He asked if the Premier is aware of a photo of a Coronation Property individual which was placed at estimates before police and the New South Wales Crime Commission. It included figures known to the authorities, and they have both indicated they will be examining these matters further. The government cannot claim to be ignorant of the links between crime and developers in this list of Mr Yemma's clients. I asked Minister Scully last year in budget estimates if he received briefings from his department about the entire list of clients that Mr Yemma had, including significant developers. And Minister Scully said no, he had not received such a briefing from the department. And then I had to ask the question how he could possibly know, when he was speaking to Mr Yemma, what matters therefore related to his portfolio or not. Because Mr Yemma might be eliciting particular information from Minister Scully that Minister Scully has no idea is valuable to Mr Yemma and his property developer clients. And that is part of the heart of this. The minister and potentially other ministers, and certainly the Premier, have decided to use their own discretion to determine what is appropriate or not. And we see that is not resulted in any useful relevance or reflection of the truth of the matter. And we have to find this out through GIPPers, through excellent journalism, and through the budget estimate process. Now we have to find more through the Standing Order 52 process. We need that further information. We need that further detail. We're very pleased to have the crossbench support on this because they understand how valuable this information is when they're not receiving it themselves from the government. I commend the motion to the House.